And action. Good evening, everyone. It is the Champions 23rd, 2021, and it's incredible. Let's fix this here a little bit. That's better. Wait. Okay. Much better. So good to be able to see with glasses on. And it's interesting. I didn't know I wasn't seeing clearly. And then I took it off and it's a little bit blurry, and it seemed like I was seeing 100%, and then whoop, on goes the glasses. And everything is, as they say, crystal clear. Like I've always seen close vision, and now I can even notice like relatively close is a little bit blurry. It could have something to do also with my head, even though the CT scan said that it was normal. Because the eyes are very much affected by the number one thing. Well, I mean the brain, but there could be bleeding that they didn't pick up on, and I got to keep an eye on that because I am a hemophiliac. And this message is for Health Prevention 101. If you have symptoms, key on it. Don't just, like some people have the saying, is brush thing under the carpet. If you have a symptom, whether it's your hearing is maybe ringing, or your vision's not 100%, or let's say your taste buds are maybe off. I mean, there's all these symptoms that could show up, these little subtle symptoms. And maybe it could be a simple thing. Like maybe your allergy is to a certain food and something happens inside of your digestion. Find out with an allergist, get 100% answers. And knowing is half the battle, not only just for GI Joe, but it's also important for health prevention. Inside of what one can do in a scenario, let's say for allergies, and it's not just the seasonal allergies. So going outside is one thing, and being in an environment and realizing what those allergies are. Like let's say for me, a lot of people are allergic to ragweed, or one could be allergic to pollen. There's lots of things. Grass. You could be allergic to literally rolling around in the grass, and you can break out in a rash, or you could start wheezing. Or maybe you're allergic to a bee bite. Finding out what these things, and also having the necessary medication for those unexpected allergies, and they call it the Benadryl test. Having the Benadryl on hand for trips is important, but also having potentially a antihistamine that's stronger. Well, you could think of different types of things. I think that those that have anaphylactic shock can go, to a hospital, of course. But if you were to, let's say, have an EpiPen, an EpiPen is good for those that go into anaphylactic shock. So all these preventative things are way important, and finding out early on inside of one's early development. As a parent, it's important to check one's children, but then as an adult, maybe if something like my grandfather, a doctor, a surgeon, didn't know he was a hemophiliac until he was practicing. He used to box, bleeding nose everywhere, and he didn't find out till much later that he was tested, because his surgeon friend said, "Hey, Vladimir DeBera, why don't you go get your hemophilia gene checked, see if you're a hemophiliac?" So he went, got it checked, and of course he found out that he was a hemophiliac. And the thing with hemophilia is that once you know, there's a lot you can do, but if you don't know, a lot of stuff can happen, and then, why am I having these bruises? Why are my joints, bleeding internally? And this kind of thing could lead to long-term, arthritis. And to prevent osteoarthritis due to joint bleed is way big too. Next point. In addition to that, looks like my eyes with the antibiotic are somewhat healed. It looks like I'm going to have to get the ointment, the erythromycin ointment too. So, in addition to what one can do for seasonal allergies and or, finding out genetically what one's genetic predisposition is, it could be a familial thing. It could be as easy as asking one's parents or grandparents what they have inside of their medical history, then relaying that message to one's doctor, and that can empower a series of tests to confirm or deny what those predispositions in one's family medical history is important point. And in addition to that, there's also things like brushing one's teeth. I mean, a simple thing, you'd think that brushing your teeth is just for gingivitis, but it's also for things such as helping with the overall system, because if you think about it, your teeth connected to your gums are connected to your entire body. And in brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, rinsing, all of these important things help not just for the mouth, but for the entire body. And that's way important. In addition to that, I would say today on Champions 23rd, my message definitely has to continue to be for the number one thing, the importance of teamwork out in Vancouver, way BC, like way out there. And to have all those involved, whether it's the crews that are working tirelessly around the clock, in the private sector, those people that are residents that have the necessary gear to help out, and also those military people working around the clock to make sure that there are people getting to shelter, getting food, getting the appropriate water and or medical necessary treatment. And it's a heartbreaking thing to think that in today's day and age, animals are succumbing to flooding waters, and it's happened for years and it doesn't need to happen. And that's why I've lobbied the government for many years to improve the industry standards, to not only the improvement on what is engineering capabilities and innovation in a farm, so things like drainage ditches and reservoirs, and making sure that low coastal farms are adequately protected with increased engineering, floodgates, and all these important things that have already been made. It's already around there, but the government needs to help facilitate, because they are very expensive engineering, but it's life-saving, and it's not just for people's farms and their longitudinal important health and what they provide for cities, but clearly all the money that can be saved on redoing things. And in business, it's an important consideration. It's also important in health prevention too. And it's a disaster that can be averted. And that's what health prevention is all about. So thinking ahead to see that all of those very important tax dollars go into low coastal areas for infrastructure. The US is already right on top of things recently. That's good to see, and that means more jobs. Infrastructure is big in jobs. It's what I kept on advocating for. I kept on leading. And it looks like my fight, alongside of other people that are passionate about the environment, has also been heard, and those necessary steps are being implemented. In addition to the infrastructure, so say for instance a bridge, as simple as a bridge is, and you pass over it maybe 1 million times in a day, and now with rising sea levels or storms for that matter, I mean, it could be not anything to do with the sea or ocean, it could have something to do with just the amount of waterfall. And all of a sudden that normal stream is now way engorged with water, and it causes for damage. So it's important to realize that if one were to think, oh, the sea is only rising, a little bit at a time, well, storms are storms, and storms have been proven to increase in magnitude, intensity. It's something that, if you really think about it, it's like anything. You heat up your oven to how you burn your food. And I mean, it's not a direct example, but technically, as we're heating up the planet past the normal state of what is God and nature's perfect balance, things will happen, like a storm. It makes sense, right? So what happens naturally in tropical areas, there's much more rain, precipitation in Vancouver, and then you magnify that. You take a magnifying glass somewhere up in the atmosphere and you intensify the heat. More storms and more storms, and as the heat and the convectional heat keeps on warming the planet, the importance is to prevent the Fahrenheit and the Celsius to keep going up. And that's why people like Greta Thunberg and other environmentalists, Catherine McKenna, and other people, and I could keep listing people, but it's important not to mention the fight of what everybody has been fighting for, but rather we all need to fight equally, because it's one planet, one home Earth, and we have to write to our mayors, And when we write to our mayors, we write to the premiers, and we demonstrate like we've done, keep that inertia going, and the global goals are there for a good reason. And the environment that I've been fighting for to set precedent for all businesses, and what I made mention in my important consultative lead to telecommunications today to the mayor's office, is to do just that. Put a priority on all business to lead environmental business as a top priority for all mayors of all cities, all provinces and states, to have it so that that's exactly what can be the focus of business. And no matter what environmental initiatives are led by the company, products and service will always be paramount. But the environmental priority on how it's made, how it's manufactured, how it's delivered is of utmost priority for each and every business everywhere. And governments can continue to help fund, set good governance inside of what is available for companies, easily accessible monies for improving innovation technology, getting grants, what I've tirelessly fought for, because inside of that opportunity for businesses to acquire new technology, new ways of creating energy within inside of the respective businesses, the reality will be exactly that. And in addition to that, it's really important to realize that outside of what is being built up in energy creation in the business, then what is the delivery method? And the delivery method for city is something that I've equally championed, and the fleets of vehicles that you see are very much gas, diesel. This kind of stuff doesn't work inside of a world that has been ravaged by CO2 emissions, methane going through the roof, and there's always going to be some sort of natural methane and emissions, and that's normal and natural. But when you multiply and you contribute every year more and more due to the rising demand on what is oil and gas and coal, you see it going through the roof. And that's the point. So within inside of what I've consulted and what other people have equally fought for needs to be the forward champion lead. And what you can do in your business and how you can take a look on how your business leads environmentally is what my lead today, and it's been my lead for a long time, to see the importance and the empowerment of business environmental initiatives. And the government, as I said, helps facilitate and structures opportunities for business, but ultimately the business needs to look and acquire these things. And it's a mutualistic benefit. When governments are transparent and they say, hey, listen, this is what our grant is available for farmers to get new industried, electrical energied machinery, and the businesses then go online and they find it easily, they access that money's needed, then the reality is. And in addition to what I've consulted online, I need to also speak to what that reality is. And as you realize that each and every step that a business makes in an investment, the sustainable, renewable, and resilient future becomes what is going on. And you can see I'm wearing my red-black protector awesome gloves. You can see that, red-black. Hey, look, the Albanian double-headed eagle. And inside of Germany, we have an eagle, meaning the left and the right brain working together. And inside of what is important forward motion will always be thinking ahead, not just to the present day, which is what I think is a real gift, to be able to live in the present. And think about it. If you've seen the Christmas movies out there, the importance of A Christmas Carol, to live in the present is a big gift. And inside of living in the present, one must also, as I see important for business, is consider long-term goals and short-term goals, and then really long-term goals. And inside of mapping out what are important goals, I think the short, long, and really long-term goals has to be environmental considerations. I see that you're sending me messages, Ernika, but right now I'm doing a video. So at 14 minutes and 15 minutes of consultation for the evening to continue the importance of teamwork, the importance of coordination, the importance of communication, the importance of team healthy attitude, to think positively, I can, I will, I'll get it done, to work hand to hand, eye to eye, put the work in, and the result will be there. And action is my lead for today, and today I did a lot of action amidst my real broken wrist that I can't put too much weight, but the good news is, look, I'm wearing it without my brace, which the doctor, surgeon who fixed it and put titanium in said I could do. And this is another important thing that I've led, speaking of which, is the medical enhancements to one's body to be able to help things like a broken bone, and those sorts of medical innovative technologies to really help and assist in, let's say, a broken bone, or there's body, a lot can possibly go on, and to prevent those things is number one. But if they do happen, it's good to have the preventable health technology available and the skills that surgeons need in order to be able to implement that technology. Important things. All things that I've fought for very passionately, because I do strongly believe in medicine. I believe very much in the miracle of the body, and I know for a fact that with inside of what governance can lead to in a healthy result can be a real healthy result, not only here in Canada, coast to coast to coast for all Canadians, but clearly a great result for all United Nations who equally value, I know, what health is. And that is my consultation lead with 16 minutes, now 17 minutes, which is local and global. Goal number 17, nothing goes right, and prime is left, and prime is 7, left center, and a 1 and a 7 is an 8. 8 is infinite 8 health. And anything said in the background is not my consultation lead, but it's actually those that have not requested a permission to be on my video, and they may in the future have to pay me a commission for any monies that I make from my consultation. So, Zarnika Tanafi, great-granddaughter of Prime Minister Korcha, do you want to be a part of my video, yes or no?
I'm not part of the meta.
Ah, you are not. So, since you're not, I would request that you respectfully do not jump into the middle of my video. And I shall sing a little song here, since I happen to be in such a great mood with all of my serotonin and endorphins from healthy activity all day long. And that song is, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Since nobody's coming,
Just you wait and see.
to come people to the